Hi there, Doc Bateman here. Before we get started in physics, we need to spend a little time making sure that everyone is up to speed on algebra. In this lesson, I will take you through a review of the basics and teach you a new and easier way. I want you to be able to solve equations without having to think too much about it. If you get value from my videos, please like and subscribe below. Then you'll get a notification when I publish new videos. And please, share them with a friend. Leave me questions in the comments below. Let's get started. Here is a basic algebra refresher. How well do you know algebra? For physics, you need to be solid in it. Here, I will show you maybe a different way of thinking about it. The main thing with algebra is we need to keep everything balanced, and you think of the equal sign as the balance point. So we start by talking about variables. What are variables? Variable is something that stands for something else. A variable can represent a number, it can represent a bunch of other variables, or it can represent a function, something that changes with time. How to use a variable. Anytime there is something that you don't know, something that you're trying to look for or solve for, you let it be represented by a variable, and then you solve for that variable. In this video, we will use lowercase letters as variables. In physics, we typically use lowercase and uppercase English letters and lowercase and uppercase Greek letters. But here we'll just use regular lowercase alphabet letters. What does it mean when you are asked to solve for x? What that means is you want x all by itself on the left-hand side of the equation, and so your equation says x equals everything else you've solved for. So let's start by talking about addition and subtraction. So here's an equation, a plus b plus c equals d, and we're being asked to solve for a. So the way you've probably been shown to do this in the past is, let's subtract b from both sides. And so now we have a plus b minus b plus c equals d minus b. This cancels, becomes 0, so now we're left with a plus c equals d minus b. So now we still need to isolate a, so let's subtract c from both sides. And we get a plus c minus c equals d minus b minus c. These cancel, and I'm left with a equals d minus b minus c. So we look at this result, and now we can come up with what I call rule number 1. For added terms, as they cross the equal sign, they change sign. Positive becomes negative, and negative becomes positive. So if we go back and look at that, we do see that as the b crossed, it became negative, and as the c crossed, it became negative. So what if we just do it that way? Let's call this the new way. So I want to isolate a, so that means the b and the c terms, as they go across the equal sign, need to become negative. So if I just write a equals, I have the d I began with, minus b minus c, and I'm done. I have solved for a. So let's do another example. Here we want to solve for a. So everything that is not a goes to the other side of the equation. That means all of these terms here have to go to the other side of the equation. So let me start by writing a equals. I have an h there to begin with, so the 8 comes across as a negative 8, the minus f comes across as a plus f, and the g comes across as a minus g, and I'm done. Alright, let's talk about multiplication and division. In this equation, a times b times c equals d, we're asked to solve for a. Again, that means we have to isolate a. So the old way of doing this, I need to divide through by b, and so now the b's cancel and I'm left with a times c equals d over b. So now I have to divide through by c, and so what I'm left with is a equals d over b times c. So now we come up to my rule number 2, and that is, for multiplied terms, as you cross the equal sign, top goes to bottom and bottom goes to top. Alright, let's go back and look at that. So the b and the c were in the numerator of the fraction, and it goes across the equal sign and becomes the denominator of the fraction. So b and c went from top to bottom. So I'm left with d over b times c. Let's rework this the new way. So I have the b and the c term here that I need to move, and so because they're in the numerator, they need to cross the equation into the denominator. So that means I simply can write a equals d over b times c, and I'm done. Top goes to bottom and bottom goes to top. So let's do a little more complicated equation. Here I have 9 times r times s over t times v, and that equals b times c. So I want to solve for r. In the numerator, I have 9 and s that need to move. So if I've got a 9 and an s in the numerator, let's start here. R equals, I have a b and a c in my numerator. So the 9 and the s need to come from top to bottom, so I can just write them down here. And then I have a t and a v in the denominator, so when it comes across, it moves into the top, bottom goes to top. So there we have it. That's my final answer. R equals b times c times t times v over 9 times s. Now let's put our two rules together. So in this equation, we have to deal with additive terms and multiplied terms. In this equation, we were asked to solve for b. So we need to isolate the term that contains b. So let's write it by itself. 3 times b times c over d equals, and then write the term that's already there, 3x times z. Now we have a 2g that needs to come across the equal sign, so it becomes negative minus 2g. And then we have a minus 4a, and when it comes across, it becomes positive 4a. So now, in order to solve for b, we have to move the 3 and the c and the d across the equal sign. So write b equals, that's what we're solving for. Here's what we have, 3x times z minus 2 times g plus 4 times a. The 3 and the c come to the bottom, so we write it like this. And then the d comes to the top. The d has to be multiplied by the whole thing, so we put on parentheses. and write a D. And that's done. We've solved for B. So the summary of this is you need to distinguish between added or subtracted terms and multiplied or divided terms. When a term crosses the equal sign, the added terms change sign, and the multiplied terms, top goes to bottom and bottom goes to top. There you have my review on solving equations. I hope this helped you to do algebra a little more easily. The next part will be about dealing with fractions. Don't miss it. If you get value from my videos, please like and subscribe below. Then you'll get a notification whenever I publish a new video. And please share them with a friend. Leave me questions in the comments below. Thanks for watching.